Good morning, YouTube, and today I'll be profiling for you my GOAT format Gravekeeper deck profile. This is clearly, like, for those of you who know, this is my favorite deck of all time, and that I could find out that you can make this into a GOAT format, a viable deck. I was like, I'm going to jump on top of that. You know, it's not the best, obviously, in terms of GOAT format, but I was like, I can make my favorite archetype into that format, and I'm going to do it. So let's hop right into it. Starting off, we run 2 Gravekeeper's Chief. Gravekeeper's Chief is essentially a monster reborn for your Gravekeepers in your graveyard. Really, he was your highest battle in terms of attack stat-wise that you had for Gravekeepers, so I run him at 2. He's not the best, but he's still decent enough that you kind of want to play him in the deck. Next we run triple of Gravekeeper's Assailant. She switches the battle position of any monster your opponent controls when she declares an attack. That's pretty darn cool. And next you run triple of Gravekeeper Spear Soldier. Now the fun part about Spear Soldier is he doesn't require Necro Valley to be on the field to get his bonus effect, which is piercing damage. But with Necro Valley on the field, he's a 2000 beat stick, and if you're attacking to like a Cyberjar or something, they're still going to take the damage even if they get their effects off. That's pretty darn cool, and he's not too bad in that kind of format. Obviously, in this kind of format, you run triple Spy. Spy has been a staple at 3. There's been people who argue about changing those numbers in more recent years, but most of the time, if you see 3 Spy, you're not feeling too bad. Next, I run triple of Gravekeeper's Guard. I still play this in my current build. Just a compulse and a big butt is pretty darn great to have. Moving on to our non-Gravekeepers, we run 2 Gravekeepers, Night Assailant. Now, the reason I said that and made that little mistake is that Night Assailant is based off of Gravekeeper's Assailant as a reborn kind of deal. Assailant was at 2 at this point in time. It's a Man-Eater bug, but you get pluses off of it too, because if it's discarded for something with like Graceful Charity or Lightning Vortex, you get it at a flip effect monster from your graveyard to your hand. And so that's pretty darn awesome, depending on Necro Valley being on the field. Next, I run 2 Charm of Shabati. What this does is it prevents your Gravekeeper monsters from being destroyed by battle. You still take damage, but it's a nice little protection for your obviously heavy Gravekeeper deck. Moving on to our spells. We run triple of Necro Valley. This is back, like, if you use this original attack, it negates all effects involving graveyards. That is extremely overpowered, the reason why Necro Valley has gotten so many changes over the years. In conjunction with that, we run triple of Royal Tribute, because this is a format where we can run triple Royal Tribute in the GOAT format. There's a reason this card was limited to 1. And that's because it's so great. If you go turn 1 in GOAT format and you open up Necro Valley Royal Tribute, you have a pretty darn good chance of winning that game. Since we didn't have ourselves a Commandant, we run triple of Terraforming, because that was available. Moving on to our one-offs, we got Mage Power, Graceful Charity. Obviously, get that nice little effect. Pawn of Greed, for those of you who don't know, this lets you draw 2 cards. Snatch Steal, because it's cool. Swords. Book of Moon, Lightning Vortex, Heavy Storm, and Mystical Space Typhoon. The thing is, like, in this kind of format, a lot of these cards you'll definitely see being played. The way I approached it was I looked at the ban list and looked at everything that was limited to 1, and I tried to play each one of those. Just kind of that's a nice little way to give myself pluses with some cards that were obviously good at the time. Moving on to our traps, we run triple of Rite of Spirit. This is a Call of the Haunted for Gravekeepers, but it's unaffected by Necro Valley and is Gravekeeper specific. But it's fantastic because you can run it at 3. We run 1 Mirror Force, 1 Torrential Tribute, and Magic Cylinder. In this type of a deck, you don't really need an extra deck. Obviously, because there weren't any Xyz, there wasn't really much at the time. It was your fusion deck still. But this is definitely a deck that you should try out. I mean, it's stereotypically you want to see the generic GOAT format deck is the same carbon copy build, because it was obviously the most dominant of the format and required some skill to play. But this is definitely a different option you can try and have fun with your friends if you're trying to go into some GOAT format duels. This is definitely an option I hope you take and get some tips off of. Thanks, and have a great day.